Hello YouTube, this is SKillous. Currently, the hottest topic in StarCraft 2 community is definitely the new balance patch that is up on PTR. So today I want to talk about it a little bit. I will show you the game, I will discuss what I see and what I thought about the patch before. Why I'm doing this way? It's this way because I feel like everyone already made a video about the patch notes, so I don't think it's that interesting, and just wanna show a real game. So if we talk about how I perceived the patch and what were my initial thoughts, I thought it is much worse than it is now. Now I think it's somewhat playable. Actually, it's much better than I anticipated, but there are still a lot of problematic things. So let's start with the early game. This is a game against Clem, as you can see. I'm top right on the ley lines map. I believe this is one of the 6 new maps that we're gonna get in the new season. We're also gonna have 3 old maps because we have a big expanded 9-map map pool right now. But I'm not quite sure what 3 maps gonna look like because we have a lot of maps to choose from. Maybe not the very old ones because, for example, Oceanborn is very old, right? But we still got like Amphion, Crimson, Post-Youth, Dynasty, all of these maps. So we're probably gonna have some of them. Not sure which ones yet. And as you can see, I'm opening with a Sentry because, yes, I can use this new ability. This is actually quite cool because, as you can see, I can send the hallucination across the map and I still have 2 force wells. So if, for example, after double gas, Clem would play 3 Helion, 3 Reaper to Helion run by, I would still be able to force field the choke here and won't let these Helions get into the in my base, which is cool. I also scouted. I saw that Clem is going for a Widowmine drop. So my approach changed a little bit because we don't have a shield battery overcharge anymore. So I think it's much smarter right now to play 2 base 4 gas and get the tech sooner instead of going for a quick 3rd base. And to be honest, I don't think there is anything wrong with that. Just gonna play a little bit more defensive, but in the end, I think the economy will be a bit smaller, but it will still be good enough, and you have much less room for mistake, right? Like it's much easier to defend against everything. So here I defend against Marine drop. There is also a Widowmine that I don't see because I was actually microing the Stalkers, obviously, so I lose 4 probes total. Quite alright. So when it comes to shield battery overcharge, I don't think it's particularly a bad change because personally I also tweeted about it some time ago that I don't really like battery overcharge as a design wise because I think it's just a very lame mechanic that you have to rely on. So I kinda like from the fun point of view, I'm quite happy that it is getting removed. So I don't mind it, and also I think the energy recharge ability that currently has the same picture, by the way. I really wish it will change and we will have a different icon here. So I think it has a lot of cool use. For example, with high Templar defense, right? I think it might be even stronger than shield battery overcharge at some point of the game. So I don't mind it as much. But I would still like to see a little bit more help for Protoss in terms of defense, because yeah, shield battery got 100 additional hit points, but I'm not sure if it's quite enough to compensate for all the early game attacks we have to deal with, right? Especially against Terran, because they still got a lot of. They actually have plenty of very aggressive alliance and pushes that they can throw at us. So yeah, I would like to have a little bit more compensation there. If you talk about the map, I quite like it, to be honest. It's a very fun map because it has a very new feature that we've never seen before. That there is a rich Wispian Geyser, but it's blocked by 150 minerals. So you can't put this gas down and this gas as well before you mine this mineral out. So it's quite cool. and kind of balances out the rich gas bases, because before it was extremely powerful for Zerg, because Zerg doesn't really care where they take a base, kind of. So they would take it and they would just all in, right? And for other races it would kind of suck, because yeah, the base would be in the open, but here it kind of balances out, so it's probably better for Terran or Zerg in this case. So this is a very cool thing, and generally the layout of the map, I think, probably good for TOS, because it's quite defensive. It reminds me Glittering Ashes for some reason. It's not the general layout, but just how big and choky the map is. I think there is something similar in the way how the map plays, and of course it has some lava type of thing, which Glittering Ashes also had. If you remember, this map probably was like 4 or 5 seasons ago, though, quite a long time. So as you can see, for the moment when Terran comes, I already have full 3 bases. So as I said, your economy is probably a bit smaller, like you mine a little bit less, but I don't think it's that crucial. I have storms ready, so now I just try to establish some map control with Storm, trying to not let these tanks get too close. Like, as long as Clem is here, I don't mind. If Clem comes closer, yeah, that might become a bit spookier. Also some map control with observers, have stalkers, have storms, and feel confident enough transitioning into robo base. So I think up to this point I don't have any kind of issues with like how the game played. I think it's totally fine, because to be honest, this was kind of the way I was playing the last patch as well, because I'm not a big believer in disruptors anymore. I think even the last patch they were kind of crap, and now they're even worse. So I don't mind that, but I kind of feel a little bit upset, because I kind of had my own style, or maybe like the style that I was trying to play, and I liked, but now I feel like the game is kind of pushing everyone to play this kind of style, which to be honest I don't really like. I feel like that's the biggest issue when you have like a pro player's opinion valued so much, right, in the balance, that they always gonna have some kind of view on the game, and they're gonna push the game towards their view. So sometimes it's extreme, sometimes it's not, but even if the view is not extreme, it's still gonna be pushed, right? And when you have a dedicated game designer, he is a little bit less biased, right, in a way. So I think this is the biggest issue I have with this kind of patches, because this patch is kind of cool, because it changes a lot of mechanics, and I already see that I have to learn a lot of new things, which is cool, and I really missed it. But also it feels like it pushes the game towards a direction that I don't really, that is a little bit too linear, if it makes sense. So I defend with High Templars here, some Stalkers, very nice. There is a push, but once again I feel I have enough storms. I also drop some zealots on the tank, kill it. Feels quite decent. Getting storms. Should probably start my upgrades as soon as possible. The trades do not look that great. I probably could have done something better. To be honest, what I don't like is that I don't have any run-bys set up, and right now Clem has a sensor tower here, but yeah, definitely could have done a better job with run-bys, even against sensor tower. Another thing that I want to point out is that I really don't like the sensor tower change, because, be honest, look at the minimap now and tell me, can you see this sensor tower or not? I think the readability of the sensor tower is like 10 times worse than it used to be. Look, it's there, right? But like this is like more, I guess you can see it better, but on the minimap it's just impossible to see. And keep in mind that there is like 1 billion different colors in StarCraft that can be shown. I don't quite take the best fights here, so the trades are not good. Kill the Raven, I believe, or something. How's it here? Find it to the next base. Yeah, I think generally speaking, as you can see, the defense and everything is fine, but my biggest issue right now is that I don't really have anything happening on the map. Like, I don't have a prism, I don't have a zealot run by anything, so Clem just takes the bases for free. Is a big problem for me right now. But I keep having fun with High Templars, which is good. Good for me that I have fun. We'll scroll forward a little bit, because nothing is really happening. another engagement. But once again, if you have a ground army with Immortals, Colossus, Storms, I think it's quite hard for Terran to push into you even without better overcharge. So I don't think in such situation Protoss really needs any additional tools, defensive tools. Getting even more Immortals. Yeah, I think at this point it's very hard for Terran to do any moves because not only I have these High Templars already spread on the map, on the bases, I can always warp a High Templar with 2 Storms. And by the way, I'm actually not sure. EMP deals 100 DP shield damage, right? Okay, so there is one trick that you all should know is that when you have 200 energy on your High Templar, or even 175 is enough, High Templar survives 1 EMP. So in most cases, you can still storm even if you get EMP'd, right? So this is a very cool trick to use. So I think, generally speaking, if you expand to a new base, even if you have an overcharge, you can probably overcharge your High Templar, so it gets to 150 hit shields, no, energy, and then you can just wait for a little bit and you'll have a super High Templar that is hard to EMP. So now the logical step forward is obviously Stargate, but here begin the problems. Like, this game went quite decent for me, right? I managed, like, yes, the trades are not that great, but I managed to get my 5 base setup without taking any significant trades or anything. So I actually started to get some extra money right after 200 supply. But imagine if the game was a little bit more active and I would actually trade out my units and I had to replenish them. I wouldn't be able to transition into this air tag just yet, right? But for Terran, it's actually much easier because all you have to do, you have to get this and you don't need any production. You already have your 2 starports for Vikings that you can use for Liberator transition. And this comes to a point of the game that I think is very problematic in this patch, and I really hate it, and I think it makes the game much worse, and this is Liberator. And you're very soon gonna see, and I hope you will agree with me, because I really think this is unacceptable how powerful the Liberator actually is. In this patch, I keep moving around the map because now I feel like, okay, I invested money into air tech, so I don't really need any movements on the map, right? I'm just trying to pretty much make Clem go away, pre-up supply a little bit so I can get units that I want to have. I have to Prism his High Templar so I can still take the fight. Army actually looks strong enough, I think, right now. And yeah, this is my biggest enemy right now. Look at this huge circle. This is 1 Liberator, by the way. And I cannot attack anymore because the area of effect is so huge. Like, I feel like once the 5 Liberators are out, I don't know. Like, I really have to have Tempest. Like, so if I have no Tempest, the game feels over. And if I have Tempest, I'm still not convinced that it's good enough to deal with it, because don't forget, Tempest also lost 1 range and they were already not that great against Vikings, but now they're even worse. Yes, 1 supply is big. This is actually a little bit hard for me to judge. Like, this might be a bit I might be wrong on that, but I really think that Liberator with such a, like, look, this is not normal. Like, 2 Liberators would cover this whole area, and like I need Tempest that deal negative damage to deal with it, and so I have to have a perfect setup. I have to have Oracle ready, I have to have a couple of Tempest ready, and like sometimes it's not even enough because they just keep pushing in, and I don't have enough time to, like, I will just lose the base, right? In this case, it went quite good for me because I managed to kill all the Vikings and the bio. My Stalkers vaporized, but yeah, the trade was quite even, but I just, like, what happened essentially, I just made Clem go back. So now I'm trying to attack, but as we know, it's not very good to attack with Tempest because, yeah, once again, they are not very good at dealing damage. They're mostly a positional unit. So it feels like Terran is not very punished for doing the attack, but for me, I have to get this Tempest to deal with Liberators because I can't outmaneuver them anymore with Stalkers, and I can't really do anything. So what it feels for me is that essentially you are limited to only sitting back and defending instead of attacking and being aggressive, because Storm is not as good of a tool in terms of aggression like Disruptor, because Disruptor is obviously like a very nice unit to use if you can corner your opponent somewhere, right? And you just keep sending Novas, your opponent keeps steaming, maybe he will be against the wall and the Novas and he won't be able to split. But with Storms it's not quite the way it works, and it's very hard to push, and once the Liberators are out you actually can't push anymore, so you have to go Tempest, and in this situation I'm not quite sure what to do. I keep trying to outmaneuver Clem. Actually here I managed to do that. I jump on top of these Liberators, but some Vikings are out, actually 6 Vikings against 4 Tempest, and yeah, you'll be surprised who's winning the fight here. I get even more Tempest. Like, I'm not sure what the ideal army here is, because I used to play a lot of Stalker Tempest Storm kind of composition, and I think it's still good, don't get me wrong, but the biggest issue with this style is expanding to new bases, and on this like like you kind of have to always play a mine out game, and this is not my most favorite way of playing. So I'm sorry, it might be a bit hectic, I'm not explaining it too well, but I'm just trying to say that maybe once again in ideal world Protoss might be fine against that, okay? Like you might be able to split them up 50-50, get Tempest, get Storm, get Stalkers, get a lot of cannons, get batteries, sit back until you get get to maxed out army. If your opponent gets Liberators, you have to make Tempest, so you can't finish the game anymore, because your army becomes not the fighting army, but the army that gets value over time. You poke your opponent, you force him to attack into you, go back. So essentially, your winning goal is to split map 50-50 and keep doing that until your opponent has no minerals, because you cannot take full-scale fight ever. Another way of winning these games is max out on carriers with Storm and attack. Other than that, I don't see a single option for Protoss to do anything, and this is, in my opinion, very bad. I really don't like this direction for the game, and I think that, like, I also don't like Disruptors that much, because it feels like it's too punishing for Terran, but also when you play against a very good opponent, for Protoss you can't really use them as efficiently, right? Because like you play against Clem, he's just gonna split perfectly every single time, and you feel like your Novas don't do anything. So I don't really like this kind of units that much, because they're very high attention units, right? You have to always send the Novas forward, you have to always do something, but like with normal units, right? If you just move with them, like it's a bit of a stretch, but like this is what you do with Bio, right? Like Bio, Marauder, Ghost, everything, you just kind of move them, give EMPs, and you trade. You lose some units, your opponent lose some units. This is fun. This is Raptors. A lot of the times it feels like you do not gain anything or lose anything, and in my opinion it sucks. But at least what was good about this Raptors, that it provided very active playstyle, and you would always trade, you would always go, you would always fight. But now I'm kind of forced to play very defensively, and I have no opportunities to go out ever unless I win. And in my opinion, it sucks. It's just not a good direction for the game, and I really hope that the Liberator gonna get changed. And in my opinion, it could be the best case if it would get reversed the current stage, and maybe even nerfed a little bit, because in my opinion, Disruptors are nerfed, so you don't really need them as desperately, because Disruptors are worse. And then not sure if Liberators are that necessary for Terran anymore, because Bio, I think Bio can fight Protoss army quite well. But let me know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. And see you next time. Bye bye.